and the airlines and shipping lines trying to make uh, their pound of flesh has not helped the industry or the so definitely the intermediaries like us do get caught in this crossfire. Then we have to go and explain to our clients that this is a situation like it's like force majeure infrastructure. We do not have I would say world class infrastructure for the capacity of the cargo which we move. But for the air cargo, there are no special roads which we see even for New Bombay Airport.
Hi, hello, namaste, and welcome to another exciting episode of Logistics Pe Charcha. I am Prajakta Karnik, editor of Logistics Outlook magazine, and today we are going to discuss about yet another interesting segment in the logistics industry, and that is air cargo. We are seeing a lot of disruptions happening, the geopolitical tensions, airspace being closed, and in that, the global aviation sector has gone for a toss, and this has resulted in the air cargo industry also navigating through turbulent times. Indian government has set a target of 10 million metric tons of air cargo by 2030. But given the current scenario, do we really think that this is going to be achieved? And to discuss that today, we have in our studio Mr. Rajan Bhatia. He is the fourth generation logistician and the managing director of Tulsidas Khimji Private Limited. That's not it. He also wears another hat, and that is he is the chairman of Western Region and managing director of Air Cargo Agents Association of India. That's ACAI. Welcome, Mr. Rajan, to our studio.
Hi, thanks, Prajakta. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here.
So before I jump into the geopolitical tensions,
Yes.
I would like to first understand from you, your journey into this sector.
Yeah, so this company has been started by my great grandfather, right? In 1895. So being born in family where logistics today logistics is the buzzword, but we used to be called as mukadams and then custom house agents and then brokers now. So logistics is the buzzword. So in the family, business used to be there. So always wanted to get into this kind of business, and of course there was no social media then, so you didn't know much what the world is all about. Today we are all connected and everything is just at the fingertips. So my journey began 30 years ago, and when I was in college, that's the time I used to go to office, and as a child as well I used to go to office because our office was at Fort, and Fort used to be the hub of logistics, and there used to be a lot of good food available at Fort. So the charm was to go there and have some whenever lunch was there. So my uncle and my father and my cousins all used to have some nice food. That was the one of the highlights when we used to go as a child. And then as time grew, started my career with the freight forwarding industry at the air cargo complex, and started from the cargo complex itself. And that is a time we didn't understand much about the trade, and used to tell my father and uncle that why do I have to go to the cargo complex and work when I'm in the family member, and I would like to sit in your seat. So now I understand when I look back that it's a journey which you have to go through if you want to be a holistic leader and to know the things at the ground and grassroots levels. Otherwise, you're sitting on the top and would not know what are the pain points or what are the intricacies which go in getting this business and getting the cargo to move to wherever it is going on time. Of course, we've seen a lot of changes, and I feel today, in spite of being 30 years in this industry, we're still learning. And now the learnings are getting faster minute by minute. So, those are the things, and that's been my small journey, and it's thoroughly being enjoyable.
So you mentioned 30 years of experience. I mean, wow. So, but in that, I mean, the kind of turbulences that we are seeing, we're facing right now, probably that was not the situation earlier. So, how is the industry, actually coping with it?
So, turbulence is not, or these hiccups are not new to the Indian infrastructure bottlenecks, what we had. So, we're quite resilient to that, if you say. And with the technology upgrades which are happened, I believe the current geopolitical scenario, we before this we had COVID, which was the biggest, you saw everything coming to a standstill.
Absolutely.
Nothing moved. Even for all of us, we had to be caged in our own homes. So that's when we realized what is the value of logistics. When even a small thing like a biscuit packet or a Maggie also we could not get, we had to, like I would say, hide ourselves and go to the shops. And those 20
Correct.
days from March till early April when it was there. So that has taught many of us how to be resilient.
Correct.
And I think this online meetings have become very much in vogue after COVID, because other than that it was Skype which was used.
Correct.
Nobody used Zoom, was unheard of. So that has given some I would say some impetus to the movement of goods and the way people do meetings. But I think from COVID to now, this is a little different because what has happened is everything has come to a standstill as far as the Middle East and those routes which are concerned. Because the ships didn't ply, and who would have thought that the biggest one of the biggest airline, Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar, which were being used for passengers as well as cargo, because these people also have
Correct.
freighters, would come to a grinding halt for more than I think 2 months. And it had a big impact. And even today, as we speak, the things are Port of Hormuz, though they say is going to open up, it's opened up a little bit, but then nobody knows that if it's going to be seamless as far as the trade goes. So I think the times to come is going to be with a lot of hiccups, and nobody knows what lies tomorrow. That's one of the biggest problems. The service providers are dependent on the asset owners, that are the ships or the airlines. Today, they themselves are not aware that what's going to happen tomorrow. So, let's say passenger side, if we talk about, people are skeptical to book tickets on
Correct.
the Middle Eastern carriers today, because not knowing that if tomorrow they come to a halt again, then everything will go, come to a grinding halt. The same as with cargo. The prices have gone up and the capacity has reduced to a certain extent. And in that turmoil, also the currency is fluctuating. So
Correct.
basically, US dollar is the biggest trading currency in the world. So if you see today, it's hovering around 95 and 96. So anybody's guess before it can reach 100. So the imports are going to become more costlier, and that itself is going to become a hurdle for many of the businesses. The pharmaceutical and the high end fashion goods will still go, but the medium sized goods, medium sized exporters and importers will definitely have a sizable impact, because unless their buyers or the Indian consumers, whichever way export or import, are going to be able to afford that higher prices, it's going to be a turmoil kind of situation, because the cost would be high
Correct.
and the product value will depend on how much they can pay for the logistics cost.
Correct.
So I think the times to come are going to be, we have to see it with caution, and nobody can predict that what's going to happen tomorrow. That we can't say in a week's time this crisis is going to go away and
Correct.
everything is going to come to a normal.
So for from India, which were the major markets? Because I guess Middle East was one of the major markets where we have been exporting. So with these airspace closures, what has been the impact?
See, with this, what has happened is, because if we talk about cargo,
Mhm.
uh, so Qatar Airways is one of the bigger freighter operators in India today, and they operate sizable amount of fleet within to India, to and from India, and from the Middle East to the world. So the capacity has gone down. Emirates is having, I think, more than 30 flights, 30 or 35 flights from India, to and from India, and then to the world. Same way the other Middle East carriers. So the capacity has gone down. So what has happened is the transport of goods has had an impact because the other carriers have not been able to ramp up their capacity to that extent. So there has been, capacity has shrunk. So the rates have gone up, and because of that, uh, the cargoes which used to go at a decent rate, they have gone up. So not everybody is able to export at those higher rates because some of the buyers would not want to buy at that high rates. Apart from that, the transit times have gone up. uh, Capacity crunch, so definitely there's a backlog going at all the major airports, so that has created a problem. Apart from that, USA tariffs have not helped, uh, though little bit relief is there now, but still there's no 100% relief on the tariff, so that has culminated into another cascading effect. So two three things coming together has definitely had an impact, and because the space has shrunk, so definitely the cargoes have been affected, and as I said, the other carriers have not been able to get freighters on a consistent basis. There have been freighter operators who have got freighters off and on, but that has not been regular movement. Like, you don't know that next week there's, on every Tuesday there's a freighter operating to a destination, and then onward it will serve that. So that has created a capacity crunch. And apart from that, infrastructure at our airports also, we are not geared up for that much space which is available for storage of those cargoes. So that has created a cascading effect because Middle East came to a grinding halt all of a sudden. Nobody expected it. So the backlog was there for quite a long time, and that created bottlenecks at our airports as well.
Okay. So when we talk about the tariffs and sanctions, so sanctions was one of the because of tariffs, and I mean, one fine morning, Mr. Trump wakes up and then say he keeps on changing the tariffs. So in that, what was the kind of shock that this industry got? Because obviously, after COVID, this was, and war. Definitely, we are we know what it
Yes.
is. But tariff shocks, how did they
Uh, so I can talk about our experience that some of our clients were caught in the turmoil. So in March is where the highest tariffs were there, and in February he had given a window of 15 days, if I'm not wrong, for which,
Yes.
if the goods were exported and reached before a time frame in the US, those tariffs would not come into play. So you saw the article where Apple phones, I think more than 6 or 7 freighters were flown in from India before that deadline of February or March. I don't remember the exact date, but that is the time these 6 or 7 huge freighter movements, so more than 1,000 tons of mobile phones of Apple did reach the US shores, and the tariff was going to come in after that. So similarly, a lot of other customers have faced this problem as well, where they had to, in a short period, they had to ship these cargoes, and that was not easy. And some of them missed those deadlines, and that is the time where some of the orders got cancelled, some of the orders had to be reworked,
Mm.
some of the orders, the buyers, they were negotiating with the buyers that this price, and that, so a lot of turmoil did happen. And I think a lot of customers were stuck in this middle where they did not know what to do. Uh, so at all the ports in India and abroad,
Yes.
basically US, there was this turmoil during that period of time. And even today, nobody is certain that with conviction anybody can say that, okay, yes, I'm exporting to the US, So for a year, nothing will come up. You never know. Tomorrow, some other tariff comes up, and the goods price will go 10-20% upward. So nobody is having those kind of margins backed up when the order is already shipped. And to top it up, the shipping lines or the airlines also have taken advantage during this time where they've increased the rates. That has culminated into a double domino effect where the tariffs they were fighting with or negotiating with the buyers or the seller, whichever mode of transport, it was export or import, and the airlines and shipping lines, trying to make uh, their pound of flesh has not helped the industry or the trade. They're caught in the middle.
So, as you mentioned, during COVID, the freight forwarders were the one who actually benefited because of the freight rates rising. So, in that scenario, since y'all are the important connectivity between the shippers and the buyers, so who bears the cost when it comes to, because they have done their deals with them at a particular price, and then when there is a sudden change, so who are they holding you responsible for it?
So it's a very good question because when we have these informal talks within our industry, our friends, so who bears the brunt exactly? And we being intermediaries definitely get caught between the two. That's the shipping line, airline, or on the other side, the clients. And on the other side, it's the government because we also have to work with customs. So what happens is I can give you one or two examples where the trade stopped for Middle East, and the cargo was cleared and it was lying at, let's say, Bombay airport. And what happened? So one of the Middle Eastern carriers, this cargo was booked somewhere on in February 28th or something. So till about 15 days, this cargo was on in Bombay airport. So now who will pay for the the damage, the detention at the Bombay airport? So the client has told our friends that you have negotiated a rate and this is the X, and the airline has said, okay, I cannot carry it for this reason because the airspace is closed and my aircrafts are not operating, so it has to lie on the ground in the Bombay airport. So that ground rent and to the tune of, let's say, around 2 to 2.5 lakh rupees has to be borne by the intermediary. Now, there are not everybody doesn't work on we work on wafer thin margins, and if we had such margins, we would not be here. We would be in the Bahamas or one of the islands like Seychelles or somewhere. We would have opened our offices or homes there, and we would not be doing this kind of. But having said that, coming back to your question, so definitely the intermediaries like us do get caught in this crossfire. Then we have to go and explain to our clients that this is a situation like it's like force measure, so there's nothing which we can do. It's the goods are being exported by you, so this geopolitical or whatever situation has come up, it's unforeseen and not planned for. So it is something which they have to bear, because otherwise, or on the other side, we can on their behalf we can try to fight with the airline, or in this case the airport authority. In this case it's Adani, so try to see that if we can get some remission, like if you've seen on the shipping side, JNPT port has given some remission after the government pressed them that some kind of remission to be given for the ground rent and demurrage. Same way, the Indian airports or the airport who are managing the airports have not been able to do that. So that is something we try to go and tell our clients that this is not something which, if you were to put it on us, we'll have to bear it. We would not have that much profit, so it's a cost for us. And where are we going to recover these charges from? So we do get caught, and we have got some of our friends have got caught in this crossfire for no reason really of ours. It's between the governments or the geopolitical tensions, and the airlines have got caught because they could not fly.
Correct. So, the Strait of Hormuz we were discussing on. So, the the logistics cost of air cargo, that's the highest when it compared to the other modes of transportation. And due to the Strait of Hormuz choking, we did not get fuel, and so the ATF was an issue. So, how was that? How did that impact?
Somewhere everything indirectly comes up to cost. At the end of the day, the airlines are, their costs are going to go up, so they're going to see the whole gamut of things, and finally they're going to push it up to the end consumer. That's happening everywhere in the world, and India is no different from it. So definitely the rates have gone up on the air cargo side, and culminated with the rates going up, the the capacity has gone down. So even today, if the clients are paying at a higher rate, so the capacity is gone down. So they are not getting a, if they're paying, like, the rates are become premium.
Hmm.
So they're not getting that seamless movement of goods. Still the movement is a little slow. So on one side, because of the fuel prices going up, the airlines have increased their rates. And because of that, the capacity has gone down, which is because of the geopolitical tension. So, like, the clients are paying higher prices, but they're not able to move the cargo faster.
Correct.
So that has created again a backlog of sorts, and in some cases the customers' orders are also getting either cancelled, or they have to give some discounts to their buyers, because at the end of the day they have signed some agreements with their clients that it should reach in 3 days or 4 days or 2 days or in 24 hours, depending on what it is. But with the world geopolitical tensions, uh, it's not happening. If you saw, Air India cannot fly the Indian airspace is okay, but cannot overfly Pakistan. So they have to have a 1 or 2 hours detour.
Delay.
So that has increased the fuel prices for them, because the flight has to carry more fuel. Now, because of that, the rates of the cargoes also has increased. So these are indirect, cost which have hurt the Indian air cargo industry.
So these are basically, the global factors which are impacting the industry. How about the domestic factors? You mentioned some time back about the infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, and then we are talking about 10 million metric tons of air cargo. Where is that mismatch?
So I think to have goals which are, you know, tall goals, it's very, very good to have those. But having said that, at the end of the day, infrastructure, if we talk about Bombay itself, we have one airport at currently which is there. The second one is operation, but not for international. So you see, that's lying in the heart of the city. And the approach, all of us know, it's not the biggest roads that we have over there, and the gate which is also there to get the cargo in is quite small. So infrastructure, we do not have, I would say, world class infrastructure for the capacity of the cargo which we move. So if we see on the ground level, the bottlenecks are there. Today, we are not able to move the cargo seamlessly, the volumes which are there. So, 10 million metric tons, it seems to be a very good goal, but it's, I think, it's
The
too
practicality.
unrealistic to be there. And practically, new airports, greenfield airports which have come up, only are two currently: the New
Correct.
Bombay and the Noida Zevar Airport, which are there. And maybe 5 years down the line, if Vadwan
Yes,
were to
again.
come up, so maybe the third one. Apart from that, no real capacity enhancement which we are seeing. I think I just read Hyderabad is having a second cargo terminal, but these are all not big holding areas which you need for the cargo before it gets onto the flight. It has to be stored somewhere for it to move into the aircraft. And that is something which we don't have. Our roads are not geared up. We do not have separate roads. Okay, dedicated corridor is coming up for the sea freight, the rail movement and all that. But for the air cargo, there are no special roads which we see even for New Bombay Airport. There are no dedicated truck lanes which are going to be there for you. Let's say for a cargo coming from Bhiwandi, which is one of the hubs today, you do not have a separate road which gets into the New Bombay Airport. Leave alone the Bombay Airport, it's a nightmare for even the passengers to reach on a crowded evening to catch a flight. You need to have at least 3 to 4 hours before you need to leave in order to catch your flight. So these are hurdles. Unless these are addressed and these bottlenecks are catered to, it's impossible for us to achieve those goals. And leave alone 10 million tons. Even if you had to reach half of that, we would need good infrastructure which would work 24 by 7.
Do we need certain policy decisions to be taken so that things become easy apart from this infrastructure?
I think the government may be on the right track when it wants to. They're saying, have 10 million metric tons of cargo to have, these facilities which they create. But then at the grassroots level, when it comes to the lower rung of their, bureaucrats or I would say the people in the seat where they have to take those decisions, those are not happening on time.
Correct.
So definitely you want an infrastructure which is robust. You want an infrastructure which at a click of a button helps you to get that speed what the client is looking for, to get that cargo moving into the airport or getting out of the airport and getting into your truck. As you know, the ground level, if it's not up to the mark, if the bottlenecks, like your truck cannot reach the airport in time for the flight to be uplifted, then the cost is going to be borne by whom? Now
Correct.
that's a $1 million question, and it will be borne by finally the end user. So though we are talking about the logistics cost coming from 14 to 7 or 8%, it's debatable. It would take
The number
another
itself is
the
debatable.
another round of I think a podcast you would have to have, because it would take another hour or two to discuss just on that. As you rightly said, whether the number is correct or not is a question mark at the point at this time. Because when we see the infrastructure bottlenecks which are there, it's I think it's a remarkable achievement that we in Bombay or in India are to give this throughput for the air cargo which moves. Sometimes even when we commit to our client and the cargo moves with 24 hours, and in 48 hours it's delivered to, let's say, London or New York or wherever it is in the world. When you look back and see the infrastructure woes that we have within our cities, because some of the cities have the airports outside, like Hyderabad or Bangalore today, but today majority of our airports are lying in the city, and it's choked to the brim, where it has to go through the traffic, and also the restrictions for the truck or the tempo or whatever smaller vehicle you have, they cannot move seamlessly.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, what you ask, these are causing bottlenecks, and it's a dream which will take some time, until we have the grassroots movement of cargo seamless, and we have our roads, like you have the cycling tracks in the world. Unless we have those dedicated truck corridors, we've seen some of the bus corridors for the
Yes.
passengers. Unless we have those which are from the manufacturing pockets to the airports, seamlessly, if that can happen, like which we're seeing, like all the expressways which we're seeing. So that expressway for the cargo, if it's made, those express roads, then we will be able to achieve those volumes, because then the cargoes will be not sitting in the airports, not sitting on the roads, not sitting in the manufacturers' premises. It will be on the aircraft, and it will be moving to the destinations or to the markets where they are destined to.
Correct. So, given these bottlenecks, the kind of FTAs that we are doing, as such, doesn't seem like helping the air cargo industry. While the shipping part might see the good days, but air cargo industry doesn't seem to.
I think the infrastructure bottlenecks which we have need to be at the highest level of the government. I would also say, including the Prime Minister's office, should be involved in these kind of woes that the industry is facing, and even the customers or the shippers should stand up, and these should be highlighted to the highest authority, and no lesser than the Prime Minister of India, because he's a visionary. If you see the decisions what he's making to make Viksit Bharat 2046, we say Make in India, but finally Make in India will also have to go out and
Correct.
go to the markets where they're going to be sold. Definitely, India is a big population, so we do consume a lot of goods within ourselves, but definitely we would also want to export. And I don't see 100% imports would stop. There would be a level of still the goods would be imported. So for that to happen, we would need infrastructure on ground. So simple example at Bombay Airport, if you are talking about freighter aircrafts, if you're talking about bigger size cargoes, they cannot move in a normal truck.
Correct.
They cannot. So there is no facility at our Indian airports to scan the cargo. So I'm talking about the gate scanner, like in Navasheva, you just said, because the shipping industry is going to have some benefits because of these
Correct.
infrastructure benefits what they will have. But at the Bombay airport, they do not have a gate scanner. So if you have a bigger cargo, you cannot scan it. You have to take it to the ramp. You have to open it physically. You have to call a carpenter or an expert to open those cargoes, because customs in India does have, they want to see the cargo before
Correct.
there is examination of cargo. So they would examine it. So you have to open those cargoes. Now let's say if you have 50 boxes which are oversized boxes, so you have to open them. You have to keep them open till the custom officer would come and see them, and then to close that boxes. It's not an easy task to have it closed. So you need experts to have it, and the way the packing is at the factory, you would not be able to do
Correct.
it at the airport. So now what happens to this holding cost? Who's going to bear it? And are we going to see that 14%, or are we going to see it 7, or increasing to maybe 15? So this is a cost. Holding cost is also going to cost the customers. The minimum infrastructure has to
Has
be
to
there,
be there.
without which they will not get the permission to operate. So these kind of things, even the New Bombay airport does not have the scanner facility in phase 1. The Bombay airport does not have a sterile facility, because pharmaceuticals is
Yes.
one of the major export, and these are all costly pharmaceuticals, where a room like this can be made into a sterile area, or smaller than this can be made into a sterile area, have HEPA filters or whatever requirement is there. So let's say a pharmaceutical giant is exporting their goods, and they're in the factory they have a sterile area. Same is created in the airport as well. So when the custom examines it, it is examined in that closed area, and that there's no contamination,
Correct.
because finally even in this room there
That's the
would be
biggest fear.
that there would be a particle of dust which we
Correct.
our naked eye could not see it. But that dust, if it gets into that particular high value medicine, whatever it is, it would get contaminated. We would, as a layman with our eyes, we would not be able to see
Absolutely.
it. We would say, what is happening? Okay, there's no contamination happening. But these are the things, if they are there, these infrastructure, if it's created and it's world class, that will help us to get more investment.
So right now we are talking about basically the infrastructure from the government's point of view. But when it comes to private sector investments into it, we don't have domestic freighters, to the kind of capacities that the international firms have. So, uh, you know, though we have airlines who are operating, having domestic, what is holding them back from, increasing their capacity when we are looking at Make in India?
Cost in India are quite high. We don't have, uh, unlike the West or in the US, in Europe, you're aware there are two, three airports in many of the cities. The cost for landing the aircrafts are different in each of the. So there is differential pricing for the aircraft to land. Today, if you've seen some of the articles for the new Noida airport, the prices are similar or more than the New Delhi airport prices. So everybody had thought with the new Noida airport coming in, the prices will be low. Similar is the cost, there's not cost that much differential between the New Bombay airport and Bombay. If you see the flight prices, they're not that much difference is not there. In fact, we're speculating that the cost could go higher when operations start for cargo at New Bombay Airport, because the infrastructure for intermediaries, for the airlines, everything would have to be replicated, because
Correct.
Bombay is not shutting down. Unlike Bombay Port and JNPT, where Bombay Port today just operates for the out gauge cargo, or these project cargos which move there. So apart from that, no other movement of cargo happens at Bombay port. It is shut for containerized cargo. So everything has moved there.
Correct.
Whereas Bombay, we will have to have two sets of operations, and that is not going to get the cost down. It will only increase. So these are the hurdles there. We are not geared up for road, for everything to move by road, because again there is no seamless roads. If we had that, imagine you could move from New Delhi, you could come in 12 to 16 hours by road, and dedicated, getting into that highways where your truck can move at a speed of 100 kilometers or more. That's not happening.
Correct.
So definitely it requires air cargo and speed. So that is not there, and because of these differential pricing not available at the airport, which is the biggest, and then again ATF, which is the biggest. These two are big cost for the airlines to have a dedicated freighter, and to run a freighter, 50 tons, 100 tons, depending on the aircraft. It's not easy to fill that, because the cargo is lying either at the manufacturer's warehouse or the intermediary's warehouse, or it's in the transit. So if it doesn't reach, like you're an airline and I'm a client, I've committed to you that 100 tons will come on this flight. And imagine only 50 comes. You have to fly that flight because the other 50 tons of cargo cannot wait. So
Correct.
what happens to the rest 50 tons? It's a loss for you. So these infrastructure hurdles which are there. So let's say two airports in India, we have in Bombay, we're going to have two airports. So are we going to have the new Bombay airport cost going down, landing cost going down by 50%? No, maybe it's going to go up than Bombay. Are we going to have the fuel which will be lesser because it is, let's say, at the outskirts? No. Are we going to have a dedicated corridor for the trucks? It's not earmarked till now.
Correct.
From the manufacturing hubs, maybe that particular 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers would be there, but not seamless from point of manufacturing to the airports. And that is, I think, a hurdle. And running an airline, you are aware that it's not cheap. The lease are not cheap. Or, today getting aircraft somebody wants to buy, there's a queue of 5 years or 10 years to get that aircraft in India. So these are the hurdles which, unless they're solved by the government, or that many incentives given on a different level, if we are talking tax benefits given to the airline. Gift city is there, but then there are no tax benefits for the fuel or for the landing cost or for running that airline. you would be given subsidy. That's not happening as of
So
now.
basically, the thought process is create more infrastructure so that the cost is reduced. But
Yes.
there is no cost reduction that we are seeing.
No.
Infrastructure is to some extent coming, but the benefits are not actually.
Not there to be seen in the short term, at least, as we speak.
Is there a lot of competition in your segment as well?
I think yes, competition is an understatement. That lot of this is, I would say, a plethora of competition there, and so competition is healthy, right? It helps you to be on your toes. It helps you not to have monopolies, so that everybody benefits from that. But then sometimes it gets unhealthy, and you you are in a situation where you have to offer your services at below your cost as well. So if you're having an infrastructure, you would expect, everybody expects to make money in business, so nobody is doing business for charity. But when you want to give world class service, when you want to give world class infrastructure, it comes at a cost. I'm not saying that, yeah, it's suppose your closest competitor is giving at 10 rupees, so you give it at 50 rupees. I'm not saying that. But if somebody is offering a service at 10 and you're offering it at 12, there has to be some, and you can show the differentiation to the client, and definitely there has to be some kind of value that you give to the client, so that should be appreciated. Because the cargo values, in certain cases when it's air cargo, it's not cheap, because the cheaper commodities cannot move by air cargo, because air cargo itself is pricey. So those values, if have to be given to the client, those I would say those benchmarks, if we say, let's say, in 24 hours, if we are able to reach the cargo from Bombay manufacturing site to, let's say, Gurgaon, in the factory. So it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of infrastructure which has to be created, including the people on the ground, including all the seamless back end, uh, I would say the goods, what we have to invest in goods, I mean by computers, the software, all the things. It's not overnight that you can just make those facilities, and you have to pick it up from the warehouse, get it to the weighing machine. If it has to get to the airport, then get it into the screening or whatever has to be done, then get to the aircraft, land there, have a communication line where everybody is aware that it's landing in New Delhi at 10 o'clock in the morning. It has to reach by before 1 o'clock in the afternoon to the factory. So all those plannings have to be in order. And some of the cities in India don't have the no entry, and the trucks cannot move. So all that planning does not come at a rock bottom price. So the competition, though healthy, we are all for it, but it has to be measured and seen that if intermediary or your partner is able to give you value, then you should be able to pay that small price, which is maybe extra than somebody else. So those should be appreciated by the clients and not seen as a burden. It should be seen that the logistics cost, you have to be able to build that in your pricing of your goods, which is not so high if you see. So if that happens, automatically the recognition of value and the time of service those organizations have been in will definitely help the clients also to choose their service providers and to get the value they want to derive, finally, to make sure that their goods reach to their destination on time every time.
Sometime back we just mentioned we discussed about data protection. So is the data protected, and how is that actually going to?
Oh,
Will
that's
it be a problem or will it be a good thing for us?
good you touched upon. I'm no expert on the DPDP Act. When I first read, I was puzzled that what it is, and in Europe, it's quite rampant that to have all the data protected. I think 4 or 5 years back it came in, and then we also saw a lot of our airlines and a lot of our clients, some of them asking for those declaration to be signed. um, they say that I think May is 27th May, if I'm not wrong, is the deadline for the 18 months to get over for these. So, are we ready for such kind of thing? Is there awareness? I would say no. Is there enough in the media, in the social media, in by the government to make awareness of this? That so it has to be a process. You cannot jump into it and say that from tomorrow. Let's say I've come here, I've given you some data, and that data may be available in the public domain. So you captured it, now you kept it there. For some reason it got out, and you were hacked, and your data my data has gone out somewhere. So tomorrow, do I have a legal suit on ITP, and ITP is liable for that? Is that so? Is a debatable question. And the penalties what I've seen are Herculean. So now the Data Protection Act, if you're getting it, it's for the individuals. It's going to benefit everybody, but then have it gradually, have it rolled out in a manner where everybody is aware. And these draconian laws cannot be overnight uh, be given, and penalties were so high. So is there an insurance policy for that? Nobody knows. Have we studied the act? I would say, as far as we go, not really. A little bit. Are we ready for? Are the clients ready to sign and give you those documents which you're asking for, which are legitimately required? So, because we are intermediaries, again, customs, airlines, many countries of the world require some declarations. Let's say hazardous goods are being shipped, there is another declaration which is required. So all those forms signed and lying in, let's say, our system, our computers. And tomorrow something were to get, let's say, an employee of ours were to leave, let's say on a good note, it's okay. But you are aware, not all employees leave on a good note. They would hold some vengeance or revenge for whatever reason it be. So if he's carried a document which is, something important, and he leaks it out, are we protected? So these all are things which at a nascent stage today, but definitely there has to be more. I believe more, I would say more, uh, everything should be more given out to everybody. The information should be there in the public for everybody to see, and there should be seminars conducted by the government. And if it's going to be made mandatory, then definitely there has to be more information, and the law should not be draconian in where a entity is wiped out and tomorrow they're no longer in business just because one important document has, I would not say voluntarily leaked, but because there are so many chains in the logistics where the data flows. So where it has gone from, it's very difficult to prove that where the document has leaked from.
Given this entire, during the conversation, you have talked about a lot of bottlenecks. Are you still bullish about, how bullish are you, right, rather, about the India's air cargo
Uh,
industry?
Prajakta, if I see, as an Indian, you're always optimistic, and all of us. That's why you see Indians go anywhere in the world. We're thriving. So let's say NASA or uh, the leading doctors in the world are Indians. I'm definitely optimistic because we are in a good space. Because GDP 6% growth, nowhere in the world it's happening. But having said that, our infrastructure is definitely wanting. So if you see China plus one, everybody is talking, or that's a given today. Nobody talks. Also, it's a given that whoever has in China is having. Let's say Apple. Who would have thought? 2 years back that an Apple phone would be manufactured, and the whole ecosystem, the Foxconn and all that today would be there in India, and Apple phones would be manufactured, made in India. Okay, though technically we as Indians are not benefiting because we are not getting the cost benefit of an Apple phone. Though in USA today it's cheaper to buy an Apple phone than in India. But having said that, it's being manufactured in India. So today's
That recognition India has.
that recognition, and I think today I was just reading about a month back, Apple, I think the highest amount of manufacturing of Apple phones, it
Happens in
surpassed China, and we are the largest manufacturer of Apple phones now in India. But having said that, semiconductors is the next six manufacturing units, including Tata, has put in the manufacturing in process. So that is another industry which is going to come in. Aerospace and defense is
absolutely
another, MRO. All these things are going to be here. So we are, I for one, I'm bullish on India because there is a local consumption is high, and a lot of investment is coming into India. Now, are we able to culminate that and channelize it to see that these goods, which are either going to be, domestic consumption or exported? So, are we going to, for the domestic consumption also, from point A to point B, are we going to be able to deliver those goods in time for it not to be in the transit? Because
correct.
that is a cost. So, real time, are we going to be able to see that, I want Apple phone today? So, within an hour, can I get it in that store where I walk into? And I'm not told that this color and this model, you will get it tomorrow.
Correct.
We should be able to reach at that level of infrastructure upgradation, which should happen on for logistics especially. Today you see that in the last mile, you see that whatever you want, uh, let's say these dark stores, we never knew
Correct.
what dark stores were.
Absolutely.
Whether it's dark in that store, no, but those are just warehouses where they kept, and in a radius of
Correct.
whatever 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers radius, depending on the, they're there and you get it. So are we going to see such kind of revolution which will happen, which will help the companies to encash their investments? Because finally it's the capital, working capital, how much you can churn it, that much you will be able to get ROI better. So if that can happen, that will trigger itself, we will become uh, the destination of choice. You see so many countries today destination of choice for manufacturing and for travel. So I think both ways, if we are able to do channelize those into our, highways, into our roads, into our corridors, if that can happen, and from the manufacturers, factory till the airports, or I would say ports, if that can happen, we would be living in a different era. uh, then we would be seeing, India would become a preferred choice, and everybody in the world would, we would become a factory of the world.
Correct.
So I think that is something which is on the cards. Maybe in the short term, don't see that happening, but I think in the long term, at least the policies are in the right place. Now, from the policy till the ground level, and then those, infrastructure becoming world class. If that can happen in a shorter span of time, I think we would be in business soon.
Absolutely. Currently, we are the fourth largest economy. Very soon, probably, we can be one of the third largest economies as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So the times are good for India.
Definitely. And I think given that USA, if they're able to make the tariffs more simplified
More
and
sensible.
more sensible, and more the geopolitical tensions come down, uh, our dollar and our currency getting little more cooling down, we would then become faster number three again because of our we're dependent as well, because our fuel prices also are. So that's creating us from number three, we're getting to number four. So soon, but that's anybody's guess when that can happen. You and I have to be optimistic, and I think India is a good place to be in. Bombay is currently very hot, but I think we'll be seeing cooling off, greater sense prevailing world over, and I think that should give us more impetus to growth, and looking forward for more and more seamless infrastructure, more airports being built with more greater infrastructure, and more airlines and aircrafts. I think in the next 5 years, I would see Indigo and Air India itself more than 5 to 7,000 aircrafts coming in. That itself will give us more cargo capacity.
Great. It was a great conversation, and thank you for sparing your time and coming to our studio for this wonderful, and insightful conversation.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.